Let's just briefly talk about the power of attorney. Because I am a British citizen, I live in Switzerland. Obviously, we live in Switzerland, and I am with an Italian man, but I am a joint owner of the property. It's important that there is a document which says that I give Luca power of attorney during that meeting to sign documents and have the discussion on my behalf. Now, obviously, I was in the meeting, and we'll talk about the structure of the meeting in a minute. But I was in the meeting, and there was some translation into English because the notary spoke a little bit of English. I do understand a little bit of Italian, but this is a legal and a formal meeting, and the documents, of course, are legal documents. So there has to be something which says that I authorise Luca in that moment to act on my behalf. And this is something which is a special power of attorney. It's a limited power of attorney, probably closer to what we would call it in the UK. It's not something which means that Luca has power of attorney over me in the future. It's literally in this meeting, I give him the right to sign things and to discuss things on my behalf because I don't have fluent Italian. And then his right to do that ends when the meeting ends and the contract is signed. When I first got the document, which was in Italian and English, I saw that there were differences between the two. And being somebody who's been in business for a long time and looked at legal documents for a long time, I was kind of concerned because I didn't understand the wording. What's important is that you feel like you can go back and you can ask questions. What I would say is that's really unusual. The point about who notaries are and why they're important and the fact that it kind of runs in families and they're very revered, I think that they are not used to having somebody ask questions. I would say that the notary, he took that because he understood that I'm English and that he knows that the property process in the UK is quite different. But I'm not sure he was entirely happy at me challenging the document and saying, I don't understand this wording, can we word it slightly differently, because I would be happier with a slightly different wording. And I was asking for much more specific and concrete language. You weren't really comfortable with me pushing back on those points and asking those questions, but we did do it, didn't we?
Yes, in the end we did do it. What I would like to add is that one of the duty of the notary is to make sure that everybody who participates to the purchase process and signs the documents understand what it's doing. Yes. So that's the reason why if someone doesn't understand Italian and the entire process is done in Italian, the notary can't proceed because he knows that this person does not understand what's going on around him or around her.
Yeah.
So what happens, he has the power to continue with the transaction, but he must require a document which is called the power of attorney. And in our case, it was a way to simplify the situation and the process in general. Because formally, what happens is that we should have all the documents written by the notary sent to the local tribunal, and have the local tribunal officially translate them in English, and the translation must be done by an official translator appointed by the institution. And secondly, we should have had another translator in the room translating every single word said during the purchase process and the transaction, and explain everything in English. Another way to do it, since the notary can speak English, he can guarantee that the person in the room is aware of the process, is aware of what's going on in the current circumstances. So asks for a power of attorney document written in English, understood by everybody in the room, and in such a way can guarantee and proceed with the current transfer of ownership of the property.
Yeah, and we were happy to go with that process with the power of attorney, because otherwise organising those translators adds time to the process. You then delay it also for the seller, and it also adds cost, of course. But going back with those questions wasn't bad, because actually we then got in a written email from the notary and from the notary's office, a confirmation of exactly what that power of attorney was and exactly what it was related to, and that it was time limited. So that was really good to have that written confirmation. It made me more comfortable, and then we could proceed. But I mean, I of course sensed from you that, like, oh my God, you never ask anything. You just say yes to notary. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.